Welcome, everyone. This is the real beginning there. so, all right, this is the first of the webinars that will go into depth on the process of planning for an Education Futures grant. The self-assessment that is a component of the application that we are starting before we have the letters of intent, because we expect you to use the mapping to figure out where you should land on your grant applications. So all of the EdFuture grants will be assessing your current partnerships, your resources, and your capacity to build and sustain a TPP program on the model, and to increase recruitment of high priority students. But you won't do all of that before the letter of intent. We're going to get you started on the Kumu ecosystem mapping process, because it's such a great tool for beginning that assessment, because it focuses on the education partners that are really the heart of making teacher preparation pipeline programs effective and planning. So the Kumu maps that you start while you're doing your letters of intent will be continually worked with throughout the application process, but also afterwards as you're receiving your grants and doing your work, that we expect them to be valuable tools for local, regional, and statewide planning. So these key questions are questions that will be a part of will really organize your application. The self-assessment questions start with understanding who are your partnerships, where are they now, do they need to go, and how can you really make those sustainable, and how are they going to help you in addressing in each of the strategic areas that are components of the TPP program, and how can they help you reach the student populations that you're going to expand to address with your programs. Yeah. So those partnerships get you key data on the potential resources for building your strategic programs components. On each of those, they will help you figure out where you can reasonably expand, because both the internal partners and the external partners are the people that you will be doing that with. And they will also help you get key data for the student populations that are our priority populations, on where you should expand and how you can expand. They will help get you access to those potential students. And so that's why we are starting with partnerships. There is other data collection that you will do, but the bulk of that will be after the letters of intent are submitted, as you're developing your application. And again, your partners will be key sources of information for that data, because a lot of the data specific to teacher preparation pipeline pathways is not readily accessible through just going through Launchboard. Some is, but a lot of it is not. So a lot of it you will be getting from your partners to incorporate into here. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, Annie. This is Amy Schultz, and I am your ecosystems coach. So I'm going to give an overview of why we're doing ecosystems and then the actual map we'll be using. But just so you know, I'm also available for coaching calls. So I'll have my email and phone information in a couple slides. But, please feel free to reach out anytime. This should actually be a fun process. So, I want to make this as as fun as possible. So a little bit about why we are applying ecosystems mapping for the Education Futures project or teacher preparation pipeline. And there's a few main reasons. One is an opportunity to identify productive relationships and what's already working in your ecosystem. So you're probably already working with partners in your education ecosystem. It could be your K-12 partners. It could be your university transfer partners. And we'll go into a little bit of detail on the types of partners when we get into the map itself, but this is something to start thinking about. Who are you already working with? The other piece is to think about locally and regionally other actors in your teacher preparation pipeline ecosystem. So are there other organizations out there that are doing similar work that maybe you're not working with yet, but you could be in the future? These are some questions to start asking yourself, and these could be good questions to ask your current partners, because they might have partners or organizations within their own ecosystems where there could be some opportunities for alignment. Next, you're going to take a look at where you have productive relationships, where there is potential with potential partners, and also do a gap analysis to see what's missing. So are there areas that are missing in your partnerships and your ecosystem? And, maybe those are places to invest some time to foster relationships. So those will be questions to ask as you move along in the process. And then use the connections and opportunities for long-term strategic planning to ensure sustainability beyond the grant period. So this is really an opportunity for sustainability and capacity building. A lot of these organizations have similar challenges, and if we're able to work together and leverage our resources, it's better for everyone. An overview of the mapping process. So we talked a little bit about thinking through your current local and regional ecosystem, and what we mean by ecosystem would be partners or potential partners or organizations doing work in the teacher preparation pipeline. And then also looking at doing a current inventory of activities and partnerships. So a lot of times you might think of partnerships, but a lot of times you can think of activities that you've done, and there might not have been direct partners involved, but there were organizations that are a part of the ecosystem. So let's say, I used to do a lot of work in CTE pathways, and we would do a lot of work with school districts and individual schools, and put together career fairs or different activities, and we would have direct partners that we worked with, but then there would be other partners along the way that might be indirect. So you can start kind of expanding who your ecosystem is. Populate the online Kumu template. So after you do kind of the inventory, that list of who you're working with, who you could be working with, or who's involved in your local and regional ecosystem, then it's time to start populating the Kumu template. So we have here an example. This is from the CCC Maker project, but an example of a Kumu map. And we're going to get into our mapping tool here in a second. And then the map is produced, and it can be used for planning purposes. So you'll get an opportunity to see where you have different strengths and connections, and where there's opportunities to maybe cultivate relationships, and that will help with your activities and planning. So a couple of guiding questions to think through as you go through this process. So who are your external education partners in pre-K-12 community colleges, CSUs, UCs, community-based organizations, and workforce development boards? So a couple of things that I think probably the educational partners are, probably are something that makes sense and is already happening. But other ones to think about are community-based organizations. So are there nonprofits or community-based organizations in your region or community that are doing work or working with populations that might be good candidates for the teacher preparation pipeline? So these would be some things to consider. Also, what's going on with your workforce development boards? Are there opportunities there for partnerships?
Can I just
Who
add
are
a
your,
little a section there for a second? In
sure,
addition
yes.
to the boards, we're also thinking that industry partners who have workforce development programs, you know, in a number of industry fields, those people's job is to develop their workforce, to do professional development. And those are really concerned with the quality of the workforce that's coming out of Pathways, and therefore with the teachers and with the development of a strong knowledge base among the teachers for the pathways that are supplying people to their field. So in many pathway sectors, those workforce development industry partners, they're in industry, but they're specifically your human resources workforce development folks are also external partners. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Annie. And then who are your internal education partners in programs, departments, and specific pathways and sectors at your college? So you can think through your college or your district, or if you're applying as a region, you know, the different departments within the different colleges. But where are there opportunities for teacher preparation, especially in the areas of STEM and CTE? So you can start thinking across departments. So maybe your projects are housed in the education area, but maybe there are opportunities across other CTE disciplines, across STEM disciplines. You know, another potential could be if your region or college hosts the CCC maker space. So there's opportunities for inquiry-based education and STEM education there. So, you know, this is a chance to really take a, you know, lay of the land, what's going on at your college, and how can you engage in potential partners. And then which of these are active, productive partnerships? So as you start listing those partners or potential partners, you can start thinking through, okay, yes, I've done activities or, you know, have had agreements with these organizations. That would be an active partnership. Maybe it's a weaker connection that it's not so much direct, and so that would be kind of developing. And then maybe there isn't any connection at all right now, but there is potential for connection, and that then you can, we'll go through the map and show you how to do that. But these are just start to think about the strengths of connections and how that can impact your planning. Where are the opportunities for long-term strategic partnerships to develop or expand the pathway? So this is where you want to really take an analysis of the map. I would probably come back to this question after you have your map, you know, semi-developed. But this is where you can take a look at all the activities going on, all the partnerships, all the potential partnerships, and ask this question, you know, where there's some areas of for strategic development. Annie, is there anything you'd like to add there?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So, and then going back to our conversation on Monday about the ecosystem mindset. So this is really, ecosystems are fairly new. Well, they're not new in the biological or environmental sense, but as far as applying it to organizations and organizational development, it's a bit of a different mindset, and it really aligns with how quickly things are changing with technology, with our economy, and then organizations have to change, and of course education changes with it. So it's an opportunity to really look at partnerships in a different way. That, you know, we have a lot of areas of alignment, areas where we can collaborate. A lot of that happens already in education, so this is just really kind of taking it to that next step. So what are ecosystems? They're self-organized, meaning that you can volunteer to join an ecosystem or be a part of an ecosystem. There's a shared sense of purpose. So, you know, in your ecosystem, you're going to want to look for organizations that, you know, really are sharing the need for training, preparing teachers for the workforce. So either they're already doing it as an educational partnership, or as Annie shared before, it could be an industry partner that's very interested in this sort of work. Usually in ecosystems, there's no official leader. Now, just by default for your planning project, you'll be kind of the hub in that you're building this ecosystem out, and you'll probably be the default leader that people will come to. But as your partners see the maps and see how it can engage in it, then it should be kind of more of a hands-off. And this is really a planning tool for you as well. So this is an innovation concept. So really change starts at the edge and works its way to the center. So in the teacher preparation pipeline work, we're really looking for innovative ways to expand teacher training, to look for potential populations to work with and partners. So this is an opportunity to get kind of creative. You might do your map and find some partners that you really hadn't considered before, but there's a lot of alignment there and it might be worth trying out. So this is the nice thing about the ecosystem process, is it really gives you the opportunity to think beyond, you know, what has traditionally happened in the past. And another nice thing, and this is a nice thing to share with partners as you start to engage more partners, is ecosystems are evolving. We'll get started with this project, and then as time goes on, you'll probably add new partners. There might be partners that aren't as engaged, and you know, maybe they don't need to be in the ecosystem as much. The commitment is low, so we're really not asking a big ask of the partners. We're really just looking for areas of alignment, and then organically, when it makes sense to partner or collaborate on a project or a grant, or you know, whatever the case may be, then you're able to do that. And then responsiveness is high. So because it's evolving, it's voluntary, you know, there's also more opportunities to respond to potential collaboration. So this is how we're applying it for the Education Futures project. Lessons for education. So this is really an education institution. So organizations are evolving and reacting faster than ever before. So we're seeing this with our industry partners, that their needs are changing quickly. They're having to change how they operate as organizations. And we're really not immune to this in education. So ecosystems is a chance to really start to practice these concepts that are already happening in industry. Stability is replaced by ambiguity of future needs. I think probably as grant managers, you're probably experiencing that already and have been. But this is, you know, ecosystems allow for more agility and flexibility. So for educators, how do we prepare for our students for this? So this is just more of a rhetorical question. This is the world we're in, changing technology, changing workforce, changing economy. What does that mean for our students? But then for ourselves as organizations, how do we partner to support the greater need? So looking for those partners that can help in the long term. There's more flexibility and opportunity through ecosystems. So back to the model that Annie shared earlier. So these are the 5 strategic components for the Education Futures project. And these were incorporated into the template. So I just wanted to review these quickly so you know, had an understanding as you're looking at your partners where they might fit into the strategic components. So we're looking at student outreach and engagement, career exploration and work-based learning, student services and retention, data monitoring and systems infrastructure, cross-system alignment, and curriculum development. So as you are identifying partners or potential partners in your ecosystem, you can ask yourself, are they partners that could help in these strategic components in any way? On the other side too is the high priority student population. So keep these in mind as you are, you know, building out your ecosystem and thinking about who you're partnering with. High school and college students on transfer pathways, community college students successful in CTM and STEM, current education professionals seeking to upgrade their skills and earn new credentials, community college students underrepresented in teaching professions, and second career and retired industry professionals. So if you look at these different categories, you can probably start to see potential partners that would emerge. So for instance, the community college student successful in CTE and STEM, well, that's going back to your internal ecosystem. What are different departments and disciplines doing on your campus? Who are those faculty? Who are in contact with those students? So, you know, there's some natural alignment there. If you look at the second career and retired industry professionals, those could be your advisory board members or their colleagues, as Annie was talking about earlier with the workforce and industry sector partners. That you know, there could be folks in that area that would qualify under that. So keep those two areas in mind. So the strategic component, and then the high priority student populations as you're building out your partnerships and ecosystems. Mapping for innovation and sustainability. So there's value in unique partnerships. You want to develop for capacity building. So what we mean by that is probably many of you have done this already in your teacher preparation pipeline work, but with partnerships that you have with existing partners, there's a reason that you partnered. There was capacity building there. There were ways to collaborate, to help each other. So this is just a way to expand that concept. Planning for sustainability. So, you know, what do we do beyond this current project? How do we keep this sustainable? You know, where our partners, they might have other funding sources. So looking for those resources. And then remembering key partners for the journey. So thinking of people that maybe you have worked with in the past, or maybe, you know, would be a new partnership that you haven't considered before. So a little bit, I think I'll go quickly through this because we've covered this a little bit as far as the internal college partners, but some questions to ask. So who may share programming or value goals at your college? So looking at, you know, really those kindred spirits at your campus are the people that you like to work with, that they have kind of similar goals and mindsets. They're great to have in your ecosystem. And then the other ones are your partners in programming. So those could be faculty, but they could also be people involved with the programming. So if you are needing to do student outreach, that could be different professionals at your campus. If you're wanting to do outreach beyond the college, that might be your public information officer. If you're doing some sort of event or activity, thinking through people like your facilities and culinary arts. So think through who would be valuable partners as you were doing your ecosystems work. The overview of your external ecosystem. So we spoke earlier about this, but you're looking at your educational partners, and then also we're looking at business and industry and nonprofit sector, as we mentioned earlier. Okay, so I think we're ready to dive into Kumu. And I'm gonna, before I go into the live demo, and so I'll be exiting the PowerPoint here in a second, but I wanted to give you a chance to write this information down. So you will need to register with Kumu. So you start your own account with Kumu, and that is at kumu.io. Then you email me your username, and my email address is there, abagschulz@gmail.com. What will happen next is I will add you to the Education Futures organization in Kumu, and then I will send you the link to the template to start your own map. And what we're going to go into right now is I'll show you how to do the map itself. I am here for your support, so you can use my emails, you know, beyond the Kumu registration. If you have any questions, I'm happy to schedule a call, and I also have my phone number there as well. So I'm going to take a minute, and we're going to go into Kumu. Can everyone see this? Annie, can you see the Education Futures Mapping Project? Okay. Okay, so if you can see the mapping project in Kumu, once you get into Kumu, and then I will send you the link to this project. And this is really an introduction. You start your college name, and I will do just a test college so you can see what this, you just type your name in there or your region, create the project, and it will take you here. So this is actually a demo that we're going to show for today, so you can see what is involved. What we have, so this would be the map. You can see the map, the different organizations, the demo, University C, we're showing different types of organizations. If we look down here at the legend, we'll see community colleges are that kind of bluish color. The partner colleges or partner organizations are teal. We have other higher education partners, and we can also do it by sector and program component. So I'm going to go in and show you how to do it. If you're visual and you like the map view, you can add new partners by clicking on the plus, and this will add an element. I'm sorry, that's for the connection. What we can do, we'll get to the connection in just a second. We're going to go here to, and it's a little small, so if we go to the lower right-hand corner and go to Table and click on that, this is the table view that shows, it's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet, that this is where you can start inventorying your organizations. So if we want to start a new one, you simply click on the line, and we're going to do a demo University C. Then you click in here, and it gives us a drop-down list. So this lets you categorize what type of organization it is and what they do. So are they adult education? And in this one, you can do, you can only do one. Then we're going to go to the next field is tags. This is really optional. So if you wanted to give some other descriptors, you can. There isn't a drop-down list, but if there was something that worked for your own project, you can do that. The next one over is description, and same thing. This is just an opportunity to give some more information about this partner. Then we're going to click on a couple, we're going to click over here on the element side on these buttons to turn it on, and we'll turn all these on, go through that. So the first one is image. If you wanted to put a logo or image up of that organization, you could upload that here, and then that would show on the map. So sometimes people like to put logos on their little circles so you can see who they are. If we want to go to the sector piece, this is alignment with the different industry sectors. So you can click more than one. So if you have an organization that is involved in several of those sectors, you can do that. If they aren't involved with any, you don't have to click any. And there is a sector for education, so probably many people will be there. Then the next one over is the strategic program component. So this was, if we remember back to the PowerPoint and the 5 strategic program components, they're listed here. And again, you can click as many as you need, or you don't have to click any. So you can choose what would work best. So if they are doing work in career exploration and work-based learning, cross-system alignment, we'll say save, and then that would show up in your map. The next one is the target student population. Same thing, you just go in there and select the ones that apply, and if they don't apply, then you don't have to use that. And then if you wanted to list a website for that organization, you could, there's a spot here that you could put the website in, which might be nice as you start building these maps out. So let's go back to the map. And then we're going to show the map itself. So in the map, we have these different lines that are connecting organizations, and these are denoting different strengths in connections between organizations. So if you have partners that you work with on a regular basis and you have a strong connection, you could use that here. So here's how you would do it. If you want to start a new connection, let's click on, click here. We'll go to the demo partner org form. And then I'm going to click on the plus sign button, this green button down here, click on that. And we're going to click on add connection. And then let's say I want to connect it to this other demo part. Let's see, we'll click to the demo University C. And click there, hit enter, and then the connection goes in. Now that automatically went to the, we're going to go into the type of connection that is. And this is showing the connection. Let's see. Field. So this is the tag. If we wanted to say worked on work-based learning project, and you could add some information about that.
So Amy, how did you get the that connection is a thin line, so that means that it is a weak connection or a developing connection, as opposed to a thick line, which means it was a strong connection, or a dotted line, which means it's a potential connection. How did you determine that it was going to be a developing connection?
I think, for that would be really up to you. Kind of your own subjective
No,
choice.
I mean, how did you do that literally on this example? Like there was something.
Okay, so if you go up to add connection type and edit on that, then we can choose what we want to do. So if we wanted to do, let's say, you know what, we work pretty well together, let's change that to a strong connection. Then we could go to done. And then it made it a strong connection. But no, great question. I'm sorry, I skipped over that piece of it. So yeah, and then you could add in, more areas of connection. So maybe it was work-based learning in manufacturing that you had that work. You could add that if you wanted to. It's really your choice. How much or how little information you want to show. The more you put in, the more you'll get out of it, especially as we move farther along in this project. But if it's overwhelming right now, maybe just put the basics in and get those connections started, and then you can go back and and fill in like more of the, the projects or the, type of the detail that would be of use. So, so that concludes, unless Annie, there's
Okay,
more
some
that
more
you wanted to
questions.
cover.
There are some questions that are coming up on the webinar chat. So I'm going to go
Okay.
over to the chat, and we get a lot of this. Let's see. I think the first one is, should this be done by individual colleges or by the team of colleges that will submit a letter of intent? I'm going to respond to that one. So each individual college will want to map their own connections, because you're trying to determine what level you're applying for and what resources you have to build this program over eventually to become your own teacher preparation pipeline program that's going to meet all of these essential strategic components. So you want to map where is your starting place. The colleges that are in a region that has a regional model and regional leadership grants, if you're in that tier 1, then yes, all of those maps and will be connected, so that you can also discuss and work together collaboratively as a region in planning and sharing resources. And the self-assessment will be individual. You will each turn in your own individual self-assessment in the proposals that get submitted, because you're each submitting a proposal. The letter of intent does not require that you turn in a map. The letter of intent is just is a letter that does go, it does need to include the one letter of intent for a region, because you will have to talk to each other to figure out what it is you're proposing as a region, and the individual supplemental information sheets, one from each college in that region that is applying as part of that community of practice or multi-college network. Okay, so for the letter of intent, you need one letter of intent for the region and a single supplemental information sheet or document from each college. This process, starting this now, will help you to figure out and do that kind of planning as a region. Okay. The second question here is, SWPT TPP partners in the LA region can leverage the network mapping information that was already started. So that's cool. Okay. And will you send out the direction on how to get the educator future template? Yes, that's your question there, Amy. How do people get access to this template?
Yes, so if you can register on Kumu, you need to start your own account and send me your username for Kumu. Then I will add you to our Education Futures organization, and I'll send you the template.
Okay. Then if a college, a partner college in the region was not on the webinar, can they contact you, Amy? Will colleges be able to get support up until the October 30th LOI submission date? Yes. So yes and yes. Okay. In addition,
it might be good to email. I mean, I'm happy to take calls, but it might be best to email to schedule, if you wanted kind of an in-depth coaching session, to schedule that, a couple of days ahead of time. But yeah, I'm definitely available.
Okay. And then in addition, this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted at the teacherpreppipeline.net site, which is where all of the material around the Ed Futures is going. There's another question. Let's see, for the letters of intent, if a college will be participating in a regional project, but would also like to be considered for sub-regional size developmental or I think that's the incubator grants, should they send two separate letters of intent? No, if a letter of intent, if a college is participating in a regional project, they can apply for any of those levels of grants. any of those regional model grant, developmental grant, or incubator grants. It is expected that colleges within a region would be in a variety of different stages of development. So the letter of intent, coming from the region as a whole, means that you're starting to work together, collaborate, talk to each other, and support each other in developing your community of practice. Must a college apply within a region? If a college is in a region that has a regional multi-college network, yes, the college must apply within that network. You can't secede from your region. But if your region does not have a multi-college network, because this has been a program that's developed in some regions and not in others, then the college does not need to apply with the region, because there is no regional leadership to start that. Instead, this is a program that is designed to try to get you planning and developing the capacity to build those within your colleges. In that case, a college is likely to be if they're already doing substantial work and it's along the lines of the teacher preparation pipeline model, then they may apply as a developmental grant. And if they are just doing some things and would really like to develop that further, then they would apply as an incubator grant. How can we find out if our region has a multi-college network already? That's a really good question. From the teacherpreppipeline.net website, there is a button that says Explore Model TPP Programs. The Model TPP programs are generally ones that have very developed programs. They've developed this model. That was their job, was to develop what is the model that is going to really be effective. So you can find out about the regional network from any of those programs if any of them are in your region. If none of them are in your region, then you can bet there probably is not a multi-college network in your region. Okay, I am not seeing other questions. If you have more questions, put them up there. Okay, how can we find out? Okay, so if there is a multi-college network, then must you apply as part of it? Yes, that is correct. If there's a multi-college network, this is a regional strategy for expanding the teacher preparation pipeline programs throughout the community college system, building on regional structures. Yes. Can a campus apply in a regional leadership grant and as an incubator grant? So the regional leadership grants are provided only for campuses that are applying for a regional model grant. You cannot apply if you are not also applying as a regional model, because the supposition is that you need to really be able to lead around developing the model. And so having that experience and that practice under your belt is what puts you in a position to play the role of regional leadership. Any other questions? Okay, I do want to say, I will say it in a second. Okay, can we list the leads and mentor colleges on current SWP on the teacher pipeline site so colleges in the region know who they can reach out to? The leads that we can list, well, the current, I want to say again, the current leads of the colleges that are the teacher preparation pipeline programs that have developed this model are, there is a website that it lists all of those colleges and gives you direct links to each of those colleges. So I think that is the avenue that we decided on that's what the teacher preparation pipeline program leads requested that we do, is to put it up there in that fashion. So that's where it is. Um, I was going to say something else and I've forgotten now. Okay. Any more?
Yeah, so I was just going to share, I know I'm already getting emails for the username, so thank you so much for sending those. After the webinar, I need to submit the recording, and then I will get to your Kumu account so that you can get started this afternoon.
So if you are listening to this after the fact, we just want to remind you now, like if you've got access the recording and are listening to this, that in order to access this Kumu template and website and start building your Kumu ecosystem map, you need to email your username to Amy at abagschulz@gmail.com. Okay. And for any other technical questions, please feel free to contact me, Annie J. at berkeley.edu. Okay. Thank you all very, very much. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, Amy, I'm sorry. They also somebody asked, can we provide the how to Kumu materials on the TPP on the teacher prep pipeline.net website? So we'll do that. We will go ahead and post more how to Kumu materials there. Okay. Thank you all.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.